You're listening to the Time to Level Up podcast. I'm your host, business life coach Andrea Liebross. I help women in business commit to their own growth personally and professionally. Each week, I'll bring you strategies to help you think clearly, gain confidence, make your time productive, turn every obstacle into an opportunity, and finally overcome the overwhelm so that you can make money and manage life. Let's create a plan so you have a profitable business, successful career, and best of all, live with unapologetic ambition. Are you ready to drop the drama and figure out the how in order to reach your goals? You're in the right place. It's time to level up. Let's do this. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Time to Level Up podcast. I am recording a really special episode today with my cousin Deirdre, and we are recording this from a kitchen table in a condo in Florida. Woo! With a computer that's not necessarily in tip-top shape here, but we're going to see if we can make it work. So I wanted to invite Deirdre on the podcast today because she has recently, in the past year, 18 months, started another business. She has a few. And it's something, what she does is something that I often find my clients who are small business owners or entrepreneurs really need, but yet are afraid to even think about or dip their toe into or pay for. And I wanted to ask her a few questions about what she does, why she does it, and how she helps people with her legal services. And also, you know what? She just started a business of her own while still working full time and being a mom and a wife and a sister and all those things. So she really is someone who is wearing multiple hats. So I would have her introduce herself. Welcome.
Thank you.
You are so welcome.
Very happy to be here. So like Andrea said, my name's Deirdre. I'm a lawyer. I work for a company as an in-house lawyer. I also run a company with my sister, and we renovate, rent, and sell houses, some in New Hampshire, some in Massachusetts. And then Andrea said, about 18 months ago, started my own legal services business, servicing small business owners. I really found that there seemed to be a lack of legal services focused on that particular industry, people who are small business owners, but at the same time, they still had legal needs of bigger businesses, but didn't really know where to go or what to do, and often made silly mistakes that ended up being costly. So my goal is to really just help serve them and, continue doing everything else that I do.
So we've got working in-house.
Yes.
Okay. As an attorney for a large company. Call it Corporate America General Counsel. Is that fair?
America, absolutely.
Okay.
Corporate America General Counsel.
Okay. So we get that going on. We have the renovation rental house business going on. We have her own legal services that she provides to small businesses. We've got
unpaid Uber driver.
For
children.
Snack provider.
Homeschooler.
Homeschool teacher.
Yes.
During the pandemic.
Yes.
Sister, aunt, wife, what else? Daughter.
Yes.
All those things.
All the fun things.
Okay, so how do you do it all?
It's a lot of compartmentalizing.
Okay.
It's a lot of trying to schedule time specifically in the day to do certain things. My days usually start pretty early in the morning, which I think a lot of moms' days do, just to exercise or work out or meditate or journal, whatever I can squeeze into the hour and a half that I have before the day really gets going. And then I try to do some work in the morning, maybe my own business work in the morning, sort of just figuring out what may need to happen that day. And then I get everyone off to where they need to go. My husband's a teacher, so he's also going back to school. And then I start my day. My day is a mix of doing both my own legal work, my work for my company, work for all the properties that we run, and it really just depends on the day. My day usually ends around 4:30. I do my Uber driving from 4:30 to
unpaid Uber driving.
Unpaid Uber driving from 4:30 to 7. And then after my kids usually go to bed, I do more work. What I found, what I think the best thing I've discovered is that I don't need to be watching the hockey practices. I don't need to be sitting there watching the basketball practices. So what I do is I bring work with me and I sit in the car and I do work in the car, which actually is really great found time for me because it is time where there's really not other distractions. I'm just sitting in the car. I'm still providing my Uber services so I can still drive back home. And my kids are otherwise engaged. They don't need me. There's nothing going on. Whatever's happening in hockey or basketball or piano is happening in there. And I don't really need to deal with it. So I found that to be really great found time for me. And I've gotten a lot of work done during those times. I have to say that one of the best parts is being able to hotspot on your phone so that you can log on to the internet. And
these are big things.
These are big things. But also sometimes it's, if I'm working on a contract, sometimes it's nice not to be able to have the internet on and I can just focus on the contract and review it and make my edits. And then I'll send it on an email later when I get home. That's sort of what I do. That's kind of like how my days roll. And every day is a little bit different. Every day has a different balance of things that are happening. Some days, our pipes are freezing at the cottages and it takes several hours and some additional gray hairs to get those done. Some days it's really heavy focused on my corporate work. Some days it's really heavy focused on my working with my clients. It just depends on the day. A lot of hats.
So let's talk a little bit about these small business owners. Because a lot of my listeners are small business owners or are thinking about it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so give me an example. What kind of client, small business owner person might you be working with?
So I work with a lot of service industry based small business, which I think makes sense. So salons, hair salons, beauty salons, people that provide, one of my clients provides internet-based services. So companies that buy bigger platforms like Salesforce, she goes in and helps them integrate it into their systems. Clothing companies, small boutique clothing companies. Gotcha. Those are the kind of businesses that I have been working with thus far.
And what are their legal needs? And do they, I guess maybe a better question is, do they even know what their legal needs are?
Yes and no.
Okay.
What usually happens is they don't know what their legal needs are, but something happens. There's an event that triggers it. And they need a lawyer. It's not something they can fumble their way through or look up online their way to figuring out the answer. So they need a lawyer to do it. And hopefully they've found their way to me. And what I do is I try to answer the question at the time. So what is the emergency? What's the need right now? And from there, it's really just working with these businesses to figure out, okay, where did this come from? How did we get to this emergency point where you now have to pay this employee because you weren't necessarily following pay laws in Massachusetts? How did we get here? And then from there, we figure things out as to why we got to this point and what we can do to change it from happening down the line. So it fixes the emergency in the minute, but then we work with them to sort of figure out what they actually do need to have, what policies, what procedures, contracts they need to have in place so that their business is protected. Because that's everyone's biggest concern. That's what keeps them up at night, from what I understand, is that they're worried about their business. Most of these people, the small business is their life. This is what they want to do. But I think what sometimes people don't realize is that you don't need to be an expert in the law. And really, no one expects you to. And I think that people sometimes get nervous about reaching out because they think they should know the answer to it. Or they're worried about the money that it's going to cost. And they don't even know what they need. And it's just going to be too expensive. So as a result, they kind of avoid it. And the problem can and usually does get worse.
Interesting how that works.
Very.
Yeah, because that's how a lot of things, like the problem gets worse if you don't. The
problem gets worse.
Right. And if you addressed it in the beginning, it would be a little better. All right. So there's real tangible things that you're providing, like contracts and handbooks and
policies, procedures, risk assessment.
Okay.
Things like that for like small businesses, developing practices. If you're just a single person, you own your own business and you don't have any employees with you, but you may want someone to do some contract work for you to run your website or something like that. What do you need to set up at the outset to make sure that you as the business owner are protected so that this person who you're working with is classified as an independent contractor versus an employee? The laws in many states, and Massachusetts specifically, are very specific on what is an employee and what is an independent contractor. And if you misclassify things, you're going to be subject to a lot of money penalties later on down the line. Mm-hmm. Because if you are sending someone a 1099 and they're really an employee, you would not have taken taxes out, you would not have taken out Social Security, all of these things wouldn't be withheld that then you would be liable for.
Gotcha.
Even if you're just a solo person, it's just you, it's good to have someone come in and just look at your practices, look at what you're doing. Are you set up right? Did you choose the right corporate entity to establish? And if you're starting out and you're thinking, I don't really want to be paying X amount of money to file these corporate documents, but your business inherently has a lot of liability because you're a service industry or because you go into people's homes or whatever it is, you could be setting yourself up for trouble if something bad happens. And no one really wants to think about the bad.
No.
You're excited. You're motivated. You have a new business idea and you don't want to think about the bad.
Right. That's what my clients are like, no, I don't want to. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Yeah. But really, they should be there from day one.
Right. I think a smart business person and a smart business owner, myself included, and one of the best things I've heard anyone say is you really know what your limits are, know what your weaknesses are, and find people that can help you with those areas of weakness. I, like I said, run this business with my sister and my husband where we renovate houses. I do not know how to renovate houses. I am a gopher on those jobs, and that's my job. They say paint this wall, I paint that wall. I'm not measuring things. I'm not doing anything like that, and that's fine. But at the same time, I'm also not doing our taxes for the business because that's not really my area of expertise. And it would take me so much longer to do it. And I have a great, great accountant that I work with and I trust her and I call her if I need her and she's super responsive. And that's how I want to be with clients because if you get a legal problem, you want to be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, this just came up. I don't really know what to do. Can you help me? And not be worried that they're going to charge you thousands and thousands of dollars, not be worried that they're going to judge you like, oh, you really shouldn't have done X, Y, Z. You should know the answer to this. You want someone who's a partner so you can focus on what you know, which is being a salon stylist, which is putting turf down for fields, which is being in construction, whatever your business is, that should be where your focus is, not on these legal issues that just take up brain space.
And it stresses you out. And then you're not really showing up probably as your best self.
Right.
So since you started this business, what's been the hardest part?
The hardest part, I think, has been twofold. One, balancing it all.
Okay, fair enough.
Which is, I think, a common problem that a lot of people who are doing small businesses have.
Right.
And then the other part is really finding those small business owners and being able to show them the value in having a legal partner. Because like I said, people get worried about the money. How much is this going to cost? They're a small business. This has been a tough year for small businesses. Right. A lot of people have had to close down. And so I think they sometimes don't see the value in having a legal partner.
So someone says, fix this problem for me. They're paying you to fix the problem. But then if they decide to continue to work with you, I mean, obviously every business owner runs it differently, but how are you figuring that out?
So I try to make it so that it works best for them. I can do a whole myriad of things. I can charge by the hour, which generally is best for a contract review because a contract can be 2 pages or it can be 48 pages.
Right. Okay.
So it's very hard to predict those, and contract negotiations do a lot of back and forth. So it's easier to charge per hour. Okay. That said, if it's a lease agreement or if it's a more standard agreement that I know and familiar with, I can flat fee that for them. So I can say to negotiate and get this lease from start to finish, it's going to cost X amount.
Okay.
And then that's what I do for other services. So if someone is looking for an employee handbook, for policies and procedures, for a standard employee letter, those are easy. I can flat fee that for them. And I think that clients like that because it provides for them predictability.
Right.
So they know no matter how many times they call me or how many emails we exchange about the handbook, I'm not charging anymore.
Right.
It's still just the same amount.
So it can be pretty simple.
It's very simple.
It doesn't have to be all scary. Okay.
And then my third option for people is really to use me as a business partner, to use me as a legal business partner where we have a monthly check-in every single month or twice a month. And we sort of review things that have gone on, things that come up. I ask people to sort of like keep a note in your phone. If you have a legal thing that comes up, write it down, or something that you just have a question on that you're not sure. Hey, can I do X, Y, Z? What is my obligation for waivers for clients when someone comes in and gets sick, especially with COVID and all these things? What can I do to protect my business against that? So if someone has questions that aren't necessarily emergencies, they can write them down and we can talk about them on our monthly or bi-monthly sessions.
All right. It's not all scary.
It's
not all smoke and mirrors.
It's not. It's not. And I think once people understand that they don't have to figure this out by themselves, it actually is easier and it really takes the weight off their shoulders.
Yeah, I can see that. So hardest parts have been balancing it and then communicating to clients the value that you can provide, which I'm just noticing this with my coach hat on. It's like every business. It's no different than my business, trying to explain to someone what a coach can do for them. Okay, so what surprised you most about yourself in this whole process?
What surprised me most was really how much I loved doing it. I know. I mean, when I went to law school, my dad was insistent that I not practice law. But law school is a great education, he said. So, but don't be a lawyer.
Mixed messages.
So I'm really surprised at how much I enjoy it. And I think it has to do with the fact that I grew up in a Catholic family, went to Catholic school for 12 years. And as much as, I'm not a practicing Catholic as much as I was back then, I think some of the things that I learned back then are still ingrained in me. And one of those things is just really service. I had to do service hours every single year. And when I help people, it feels like I am really providing a service, and not just to them, but to the community. These people are serving other people in the community. And it feels like a real tangible way that I am actually providing a help and service to the community. And I think that's been the best thing. And the other thing I think I've learned about myself too is that if I don't know the answer, I usually can figure it out, or I know where to go to find it, or I have other sources. I mean, even though I'm a lawyer and have been for 14-ish years, sometimes I get nervous. I don't know what this is.
I remember you and I were having breakfast and you said to me, but what if I don't know the answer? You were scared about that.
Right. And it is scary. But I think once you are presented with a question, and I think this comes with the fact that if I'm working on something for someone and I know it's a flat fee, like I'm working on something for someone and I know it's a flat fee, I'm actually more than happy to spend 1 or 2 hours just researching it. So I feel 100% comfortable saying, this is what this is going to be. This is how you should word X, Y, Z. And I like that. I actually really do.
So you're figuring it out.
You're figuring it out.
No, it's crazy stuff how we can figure things out.
Because we don't have to know all the answers.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so that's what surprised you about yourself. What do you think surprised you most about these business owners, your clients?
I think what has surprised me most about them is how far people have come in businesses without having a lawyer. Like that's really, it's surprising and a little scary. A little scary.
Yep.
I mean, people that have been in business for years don't have a lawyer. And I just am wondering what has happened in the past. There have been legal issues, I'm sure, that have come up.
Right.
And it's just a little scary because it creates liability for them. And I'm all about trying to reduce risk, try to prevent risk and reduce risk. There is no surefire guarantee. I said to someone the other day, they say, what is the likelihood that someone is going to sue me. And I said, unfortunately, there is no guarantee. People can sue you for anything.
Anything.
But when you do certain things, you really dramatically reduce your risk. And that's what I try to help people to do. Reduce your risk.
I think it's interesting. And I've noticed with my clients how long it takes them to get their finances together.
I guess my ideal clients are someone who really realizes the value in having professional partners in business. Finances are totally included in that. Having an accountant with you that really understands the players, understands what you're doing, and can help you navigate the finance world. It's the same exact thing as having a legal partner who can really help you navigate the world. Because, like I said, you are a construction owner. You're not, you didn't get your CPA, you didn't go to law school, and no one should expect you to either.
Exactly. Get the people you need to help you create a better business. I mean, it's really kind of the story.
It is. It is. And I think that any business owner can see the value in it, but really can come up with a creative way. And if you're working with a lawyer, which I hope you are, but, come up with a creative way to do this. I have someone who I'm working with who said, we're just starting out our business now, so we can't pay you everything right now up front. How about we do a 3-month, it's a flat fee, but over 3 months. And that's great. I'm happy to come up with creative solutions. So unless you're working with a big firm who has $10,000 retainer, you pay that and that's what it is. Everyone else should be able to work with you so that it best suits your needs. That's what they're there for. You are their client. You're there to serve them.
All right. So question, you have a great job. So why did you start this business?
A couple of reasons. One, I really just wanted to take a bit more control over my professional and really my personal life. I have 2 kids and it's hard. It's hard to have other external forces like a corporate company and bosses putting constraints on you that isn't really necessarily aligned with exactly what you want to do. I mean, my company is great and they have a great mission and I actually love it, but I am so far away from boots on the ground that it's really hard for me to see the results of what my legal services do. And that is a disconnect for me personally. And I want to be personally fulfilled in what I'm spending hours and hours of my day doing. Really
I can see how it's hard for you to work for a company where you are not really seeing on a day-to-day basis what's happening or what they're doing. I get that.
Even though the mission of the company is wonderful,
it is.
even all of that stuff, it's very hard to see. Prior to this, I was a litigator, and that was more fulfilling in the sense that I meet my clients, I see them, we go to trial, we win that trial, or we lose a trial. You see the impact because it's real people. It's real people involved, and you are serving them as professionals, as people. And you see it. It's just a little bit too much of a grind.
So I want to ask you one more question that has nothing to do with law.
Great. Clearly, I'll talk about anything.
Okay. So we're cousins. Let's talk about the past. Do you have any memories of childhood hanging out with me?
I do.
Okay. Do I want to know?
No. I have 2.
Okay.
One's good, one's bad.
Okay.
I am one of the younger cousins in this side of the family. And I remember they would always go up to your house in New Hampshire and all the older cousins would get to go skiing together.
Oh, and you couldn't go.
And I couldn't
You were too little.
I was too little.
I actually now remember this.
How devastating is
tragic.
Tragic.
Do we make you sleep on the floor too?
I didn't even get to go. I had to stay at my own house.
Oh, that's right. So a lot of cousins stayed at one house and then Deirdre had to stay at her own house. But
sad.
We even made another cousin sleep on the floor.
Older than me, but younger than Andrea. Yep.
That was mean of us.
So mean.
Okay.
But one of the great memories I have, so Andrea used to be in lots of plays when she was younger, and I loved going to plays. And every time I would go over to her house, I would get so excited because I would go upstairs, and she was Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz.
This is big.
And in the back of her closet, I can still remember going in there, digging out her ruby red slippers.
I remember those now.
I do too. I do too. And wearing them. And I thought I was just the coolest person in the world.
Those are pretty cool, the ruby red slippers.
The ruby red slippers.
I had them. They had red glitter on them. They must have made a huge mess every time I wore them.
I'm sure. And then every time I wore them.
Oh, that's such a
So
good
I loved that. And you were always a good older cousin, like letting me rifle through your costumes, your Peter Pan, Dorothy. Oh, loved that.
This is great stuff.
Good stuff.
See, it's really helped us in our later lives.
Yep.
Do what we do. All right. Well, that was super helpful. I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed it because every time I talk to Deirdre, I learn something else because I'm not in her world. I think the moral of the story here, people, is that if you are trying to kind of upgrade yourself, give your life a little upgrade, give your business a little upgrade. We didn't really mention this, but if you're an employee yourself, you should have someone looking over all of your contracts.
100%.
I mean, this isn't just for business owners, so this can be anyone. Yeah. Because we don't know what we don't know. This is just part of the cost of doing business. It's an element of doing business. It's not an added on burden. So my last question is, can they call you, or does it depend kind of what state? If my listeners are listening, can they call you for your help, or does it really kind of depend what state they're in?
Yes and no. A lot of employment laws are very state specific. I'm licensed to practice in Massachusetts and New York, probably end up getting my license in New Hampshire as well. But a lot of contracts are pretty standard. Yeah. Leases are pretty standard. So a lot of contracts are easy to review. Employee things can be very specific. That said, I can review employee contracts. Though, contracts are very standard. There are some things that get more specific when you get down to state laws, like employees, things like that.
We're going to put all of Deirdre's contact info in the show notes. So you could always even reach out, and I'm sure she could point you in the right direction.
Absolutely.
But people, get yourselves together here. It's not only just about finances, it's about legal issues as well.
What I tell everyone is, if you're starting a small business, this is your baby.
It is.
Protect it.
It is.
Do what you can.
Feed the baby.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
And always wear your ruby red slippers. That is the last most important thing.
100%.
Okay, so we're going to end this podcast now, and we're going to go out to dinner in case you wanted to know what's next on our agenda, but I hope you enjoyed it. And I am adding in every month a guest expert. So I'm going to continue to do these bonus episodes with current clients or past clients, as well as a monthly guest expert, because I love bringing you information to help you grow. If you are interested in learning more about coaching, feel free to head on over to my website and figure out the multitude of ways that we can work together. And also, pretty much every regular episode, there's a free download that goes with it. So there's a whole page on there of free downloads that I encourage you to see as well and check out. So until next time, remember, it is time to level up, upgrade, get your act together. Let's do this. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in to today's show. If you're ready to commit to personal and professional growth, move forward, make money, and manage life, head to AndreaLiebross.com. That's AndreaLiebross.com to find out about the ways we can work together. Until next time, go level up.